In 1954, two scientists made a mistake that revealed something unsettling about the human brain. James Olds and Peter Milner were attempting to place an electrode into one part of a rat's brain. They missed. Then they allowed the rat to press a lever that delivered a tiny electrical pulse to that accidental location. The rat pressed it again and again, hundreds of times an hour, then thousands. It ignored food, ignored water. It would continue pressing the lever almost endlessly rather than stop. At first, the scientists believed that they had discovered the brain's pleasure center. They were close, but not quite. And the difference explains a great deal about cravings, because what that stimulation was producing wasn't pleasure, it was dopamine, and dopamine doesn't make you feel good. It makes you want. A neuroscientist named Berridge spent years studying this distinction. What he discovered was surprising. Wanting and liking are not the same thing. They're separate systems. Most of us assume we chase things because we enjoy them. But Berridge demonstrated that wanting can increase even when liking stays the same, or sometimes decreases, which explains a strange experience many people know well. You're eating something, and you're not even enjoying it anymore, yet you keep going. That's not weakness, that's wanting and liking pulling apart, the pursuit continuing long after the pleasure has faded. Then the story gets even stranger. Neuroscientist Wolfram Schultz discovered that dopamine doesn't spike when you receive the reward. It spikes when your brain predicts the reward. The cue matters more than the outcome. The crinkle of the snack bag, the drive-through sign, the smell from the bakery, the notification sound. Those signals often trigger the strongest dopamine response. By the time you're actually eating, the dopamine surge is already fading, which means the wanting was strongest before the first bite. The first bite is usually the best, and every bite after that is often your brain trying to recreate a feeling that has already started disappearing. You weren't really chasing the food, you were chasing the anticipation. And anticipation can never be fully satisfied. Now add one more piece. A naturalist named Niko Tinbergen noticed something remarkable in birds. If he placed a fake egg beside a bird's real egg and made the fake one larger, brighter, and more colourful, the bird would often ignore its own egg and sit on the fake one instead. The exaggerated version won. Tinbergen called this a supernormal stimulus, a signal amplified beyond what nature normally provides. And once the brain encounters it, ordinary alternatives become less appealing. Humans face the same problem. Modern food is often the supernormal stimulus. Scientists and food engineers have spent decades refining combinations of sugar, fat, salt, texture, and crunch. Many products are designed around what researchers call the bliss point, the exact combination that creates maximum craving. These foods aren't simply delicious. They're engineered to hit motivational systems harder than almost anything our ancestors encountered. So when you struggle to resist the chips, the cookies, or the drive-through, understand what you're facing. You're not weak. You're a modern human operating with ancient wiring. And that wiring is facing stimuli specifically designed to capture attention and generate craving. So does that mean you're powerless? Not at all. Because the craving is not your identity. It's a signal, a learned response triggered by a cue. And once you recognize it as a signal, it starts losing its authority. Two things help weaken it. First, reduce the power of the cues. Every time a cue leads directly to the reward, the brain strengthens the association. But when the cue appears and the reward doesn't follow, that connection gradually weakens. The crinkle of the bag stops carrying the same force. The drive-through sign loses some of its pull. Second, allow your system to recover. When you spend less time around highly engineered foods, your sensitivity slowly returns. Foods that once seemed boring begin tasting better. An apple tastes sweeter. A strawberry tastes richer. The hyper-intense foods no longer dominate the comparison. So the next time a craving appears, try naming it. This is dopamine. This is anticipation. This is a cue triggering a learned response. This is my brain predicting a reward, because you don't have to fight your own pleasure. You only have to stop believing the story the craving is telling you. The story says, the next bite will finally satisfy me. But that's the lie. The wanting was never trying to be satisfied. It was trying to continue, and a craving you've stopped trusting has already lost much of its power.